Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome to my glass studio. Today, in expectation and excitement and preparedness for Valentine's Day, we're going to make an I love you plate. Now, of course, I love hearts. I love the colors I'm planning to use on this. So really, even though we're talking Valentine's Day, you could use this all year long. Here's my pattern, which is free on my website. You go there, you get this pattern, you can make one for yourself. And what I love about this pattern and what we're going to do today in this project is this is a great example of how you can take an existing pattern and make it your own by either not doing all the pieces, not cutting all the pieces, or cutting more pieces and adding different type of design or detail. So this piece has, kind of a one big, we would create this by doing one big background and then cut all these other pieces and place them on top. Well, what I decided to do, instead of breaking up this border here, which represents 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, instead of doing that, I'm going to cut one big piece out of clear, which I actually already did. Here we go. Cut that out of clear, and look how nicely that fits on my pattern. So I cut this, I cleaned it, I ground it to fit, and now I'm trying it on the pattern. I'm really pleased with the way it models this pattern and looks. So rather than cut a whole bunch of little pieces, what I've decided is I have this beautiful piece of spirit glass. And I thought that is perfect colors. What I like about it is it's semi-transparent, so it'll show up on any color counter. My kitchen counter happens to be dark, and I know a lot of people just enjoy dark cabinet countertops. Or maybe you have a gray or some other color. But the nice thing is I think this color will show up well no matter what it's resting on. There's that. It also has this beautiful combination of colors, and I just love it. And I could either do it this way, I could do it this way, but of course I decided that's not nearly as much fun as running the pattern diagonally across the heart. So what I want to do is break up this glass so I don't risk breaking the entire sheet. So when my initial thought was to divide this glass, this project is about 7 inches across, was to divide this glass so I'd have a 7-inch chunk, so I have all this extra material to use on something else down the road. But then it occurred to me, Nikki and I talked about it, we decided we liked the idea of using this diagonally. So I'm glad I didn't divide it. So I'm going to place this over the top. Fortunately, I can see through the glass. And I'm going to measure over, let's say we're going to measure over 8 inches. I'll make a mark here. Measure over 8 inches here. Make another mark. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that so I can make this sheet smaller, easier to work with, easier to handle, and then if I have breakage, I'm not putting all of this entire glass at risk. So I'll break this off right here. Let's find that score line, there it is, and move that out of the way. And now we can decide if we like this portion or do we like this portion. What do we think, Nikki? This one, okay. So then let's go ahead and divide the glass again. And this time we'll measure this direction. And we'll cut that, I guess we'll cut that at 8 inches again. I'm going to mark it. Now if you have a strip cutter, this is a great time to use it. Another method of cutting straight pieces, you can use that too. But the ruler method works well. This ruler has cork on the back, which is a nice feature because when you lay it on the glass, it doesn't slip around on you. It stays where you put it.
Or scratch the glass.
All right, it doesn't scratch the glass. So that's all great. All right, so what I'm doing here is making this smaller so it's more manageable to work with. And those other pieces I cut off, I can use for something else down the road. Maybe I want to make some smaller hearts. I'm going to take this, move it out of the way. Now, fortunately, I can see through this glass. So I'm going to turn this diagonally the direction that we want it, and look at that beautiful color, this beautiful purple we're getting in here. Turn it a little bit more, get some direction there. Yeah, this is something I learned from working with stained glass, making stained glass lamps and patterns that had birds and flowers, leaves in particular. That it's, if you take your glass, but if it has a grain in a direction, if you run it in the direction of your art, it can make it a lot more effective. Like bird feathers, you want them all kind of running elongated. Leaves, if the grain runs out from the center, it makes the leaf so much prettier. So here we're taking advantage of the grain and the pattern of this glass to make this project more interesting. So I'm going to rotate this to make it more convenient for myself. And I'm going to just cut right on top of the glass. And I'm cutting on that pencil, that marker line there on the bottom, that pattern line. Now the trick to a good score, remember, is consistent pressure. So I'm rotating this glass to ensure that my pressure is consistent. And another reason I rotate it is to ensure that my cutter is close to my body, where I have a greater tendency to have consistency and greater consistency of my pressure with my shoulder, my elbow, and my wrist. In this area, there's kind of a deep area, so I went ahead and did what we call a series of extra cuts, concentric circles here, in order to break that out. We'll show you breaking that out in just a minute. I'm gonna go ahead and score it all the way around. Now, when you're doing an outside curve, you don't have to do as many cuts because glass wants to break away from this pattern in that case. We're gonna rotate this now. The glass moved a little bit, so I have to realign it with the pattern. There we are. I'll realign it again. Keeps moving a little bit. Another option here would be to cut this paper up, glue it on the glass. Then you don't have to do all this rearranging. And here I'm gonna go ahead and do the inside curve, and then 2 smaller curves to make that easier and more reliable, and intend to have a greater success rate there. All right, so I'm gonna take my runners, break this off. Break that off, there we go. This glass is a little bit brittle. It doesn't seem to be wanting to go the way I want, which is okay because we're getting the shape we want, just not in a neat fashion. So those extra cuts were a really good idea. All right, I'm gonna take my rosing pliers, come in here now and peel this out. There, look at that beautiful shape we have there. Over here, where we had 2 score lines come together, got a little point there, we'll take that off. Over here, we'll take this out. Now this, it would be easier because that's kind of a deep curve. I get my hand closer to that. This is being a little stubborn here. Okay, but the good news is we have the shape we want, so stubborn is okay, as long as we get what we want. All right, so we've got that. Clean this up a little more. It'll give me, I'll have to spend a little less time at the grinder by doing that. Now you see all these shards on my work area, okay? Definitely want to use bench brush to clean that up before we do any more cutting, because you don't want to put your tools down in that, then you get shards in your hand. And if you put your glass on top of that and go to cut it, it can create a pinpoint pressure that causes breakage. We don't want that either, because this is a beautiful piece of glass and we want to make sure that we retain the shape. And look how awesome that is. After cutting this piece, I took it to the grinder, ground the edge, give it nice edge quality, clean up the shape a little bit. I dried it off with a towel. Now I have my clear base, my pattern glass, both cut to size. They fit beautifully. They match up nicely on top of the pattern. And what I plan to do is take glass line, outline medium, and draw the words "I love you." And then Nikki just pointed out that maybe it's not going to show up on this color because it's black, and we did a little test piece here. So every time I use this material, I mix it up and then I do some test pieces on clear glass so that I can see what the consistency of the material is coming out of the bottle. If it's too thick, it'll clog. If it's too thin, it runs. You get this type of stuff, which is not really attractive. So a great idea to do some testing on some scrap glass, which is what we did here. And then if we put that on top here, you can see it doesn't really show real well. And so I would like it to show a little bit better. So what I had thought I would do is make a border out of this pink and white and go around here. But now what we're thinking is, instead of doing that, put these aside and make another little heart in the center out of white so that the paint will show up really well and you'll be able to see the message in the middle of the plate. So I'm going to lay this here and I'm going to freeform a heart shape on there, similar to the outside of this one. Oh, getting a little bit tight there. Oh, there we go. All right, so we're just going to do something similar to that. We'll put that in the middle, and then we'll write "I love you" on top of that. We'll slide this out of the way. Like I said, I already moved here's my cutting tools. Let's put this out of the way for a second. And here I'm going to go straight across, come back in, do a little indentation there. Go around, make a nice, a little bit bigger than what we have drawn here. I can always grind it a little smaller, but I want to make sure that it looks proportionate in the middle of this heart and we have a good size. and a good shape. But I can always, if I don't like the shape, I can always grind it down and change that a little bit. You hear me say it all the time. Gosh, I have these gigantic tables, and here I am working myself into a corner. So, you know, try to, you know, be aware of that. You know, if you got a lot of space, you know, branch out and use it. You know, if your studio looks like mine, it's always a bit of a mess. All right, I kind of like that. So we'll take this to the grinder. Here, I'll show you from the back, get an idea of the shape. We'll take that to the grinder, grind it up, clean it up a little bit, and then we'll put it in the middle and we'll draw I love you on it. The outlining medium has been sitting for a few minutes, so I'm going to do another test and make sure I like it. Oh, look at how beautiful that is. Yes, that's awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and write our message. Oh, it ran out on me there. Oh gosh, I'm not liking it. Okay, we're gonna wipe that off. We're gonna do it again. Where's my paper towel? Here we go. You know, if you're concerned about using, you know, overusing your material or running out of material, what you can do is take your finger, you know, go over that and put it right back in the jar. Why waste it, you know? Of course, it gets on your finger, but so what? Got more material to use later. Now wipe my finger off, put this back on. There we go. Wipe this clean. All right, I got a little carried away with the eye anyway. I was getting excited, so we'll try that again. All right, here we go. I'm gonna do another test. All right, consistency is good. I'm gonna hold on to this to kind of keep that tip clean as I start. All right, here we go. All right, it seems like working slowly seems to be the ticket to success. Now I can take a toothpick after this is dry. I'll take a few minutes. Take a toothpick or a pin or something, go back in, clean that up a little bit, make it a little finer, a little more detailed. I can go back and create a little bit of circle in the O in the love and the O in the U, and clean that up a little bit, make it a little bit finer, and then once it's dry, we'll put it in the kiln. We're gonna fire it to a full fuse temperature. Here's the little heart with the paint on it when the paint is dry. I put this out in the sun to rush that drying. You really want the paint dry before you put the glass in the kiln so it doesn't splinter, buckle, or blister. If it does any of those things, you won't have great coverage, you won't have a good coloring on your text. I'm gonna lay this down here, take a toothpick, and I'm just gonna go in a little bit to this dry area. You wanna make sure it's dry before you do this. You can go in and you can kind of fine tune that detail a little bit. Like right here, I wanna get a little bit of a circle in the center of that O. Look how nicely that works. Here I can fine tune this Y. You come this way a little bit and maybe give this a little bit of a curve and make it look a little prettier than it does right now. Maybe put a little bit of a curve in here. Now you can use the point of a pencil. You could use other different things that are kind of pointy at the end but not too sharp to do this. You could use an X-Acto knife. Let's put a little bit of detail here in the E, a little detail here in the O. I think I would like to make this I look a little cleaner. Go ahead and do that. There we go. Now you work a little bit at a time because it really does not work well to go back and add more paint because they don't really mix or blend well, and you don't get the smoothness that you would think you might. So if you don't like something and you really mess it up when you're doing the detailing, just wash it off and redraw it because it doesn't work well to add on. I'm gonna add a little bit of detail to the V here, make it a little sharper. Add a little detail to this outside edge, make it get a little bit of a contour here. And I tend to have sloppy handwriting. So being able to go back in and clean this up is actually a benefit because I would never get it this pretty the first time around. So take your time with it. Have this is where you want to get that that detail that really makes it kind of pretty. You could do as much or as little on this as you want to. There we go. Almost looks like. All right, I think we're going to call that done. Now this little area right here, definitely want to wipe that off because that will fire on. There we go. All right, we're going to place that on here. There we go. There's our project put together. I didn't glue any of these pieces, not really necessary because they're big and they're easy to assemble. We're going to transport this over to the kiln and then we'll go ahead and load it. I have a round ceramic kiln shelf in here with a primer on it. I'm going to go ahead and load the clear glass. Load this beautiful color on top. Make sure those are lined up. And then we'll take this beautiful little heart, white heart, put it in the middle. At this point, I could also opt to move that around, not necessarily put it in the center. We could kind of put it off to one side, but I think I'm going to leave it right there because that's kind of where it was originally intended, so that's where it's going to go. All right, we're going to close this up, fire this to a full fuse temperature, and then we'll open the kiln and see what we have. Welcome back to the studio. We're going to open the kiln and let's see what we have. Oh, wow. Look how awesome. Look at the colors. Isn't it beautiful? Oh, look at the words. They came out so nice. Very pleased with that. Look at this. We have a beautiful edge quality here. Nice color. I love the direction of the pattern. The lettering is a little bit, it's stronger in some areas and a little faded in others. So I'm fine with it. I think it's cool, but it actually has, like, goes from blacks into grays, kind of. At least it's very legible. It has nice contrast. We talked about writing on this glass and maybe not having enough contrast, which I definitely think we have contrast here. The message is very clear. Edge quality is beautiful. Shape is really nice. The back is pretty. So we like that as well. All right, we're going to go ahead and slump this. So I'm going to take this, put this down temporarily. I'm going to take this kiln shelf out so that when I put this mold in, this is a square mold. This is like an 8-inch mold. Our piece is about 7 inches. Remove these little kiln posts. I'm going to place this in here, and I took the shelf out because I want that mold to be as far away from these coils as possible, so that the glass, when it's in the mold, is as far away from these coils as possible to ensure that it won't cause breakage due to heating too quickly because the glass is close to that heat source. And place this on the mold right there in the center. Look how pretty that is. So, we have a heart shape here, but we're using a square mold. Great lesson there. You can use different shape pieces of art in different shape molds. You just want to be sure that that art is smaller than the mold so that it slumps into it correctly and doesn't slip off to the side and come out uneven. So we're going to go ahead and close this up, fire this to the slumping temperature, and we'll be back to see what we have. Welcome back to the studio. We fired this little project and we slumped it this time. And let's see what we have. Oh, we've got some great shape. Look how nicely it conformed to the mold. Pull that out of there. Oh, look how cute. Got a nice rounded bottom, beautiful edge quality, pretty backside. And isn't this just adorable? Gosh, so cute and so small and so fast and easy. So great example of taking a pattern that has quite a few pieces, kind of a complex design, simplifying it, and using glass that has a really interesting pattern, direction, color combination to do all the work for you. So you don't have to cut all those different pieces and put all those different types of glass together. Pick a glass that does all the work and gives you something beautiful and really unique, something just your own. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed learning how to make this piece. I hope there's one in your future. And it's not just for the holidays. You can use this any time of year or make a great birthday gift, a great Easter gift, a great anniversary gift, anything, one for your kids. You just want to let them know how you feel about them when you're not necessarily with them. So hope you enjoyed learning how to make this. Had a great time showing you. So if you're not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do that. Please subscribe so you'll know when I have these other videos coming out. You get notified right away. You'll get to see all the latest and greatest as soon as it comes out. And also, please consider becoming a premium video member. We would love to have you. We have new videos coming out all the time. I'm out here in the studio right now coming up with some new projects to offer to my members. So I would love to have you join us. And until next time, happy fusing.